They say the floor is just the foundation, the part you don't think about, the place that supports furniture, footsteps, and the quiet rhythm of daily life. But in Feng Shui, the floor is not just passive structure. It is the most underestimated energy field in your entire home. It holds memory, it absorbs emotion, and above all, it reflects the way you manage the unseen layers of your life. Walk across it without care, and your space remains shallow. Place the wrong items on it, and the consequences ripple through your mind, your finances, your clarity, even your sleep. Not because of superstition, but because in Feng Shui, energy responds to structure. And the lowest point in your home either gathers vitality or it drains it. It either anchors your power or leaks it out into the noise. You don't have to believe in magic to feel the weight of a messy floor. That moment when your eyes scan a room and feel unsettled, but can't quite explain why. That subtle tension when you step over things that shouldn't be there. Laptops, laundry, unopened bills, dusty grocery bags waiting to be unpacked. These are not just messes. They are energy instructions. Your home is listening, even when you aren't speaking. And what you place on the floor is a message you send again and again. Either I value this, or I don't know what to do with this. And that confusion doesn't stay on the ground. It floats up into your thoughts, your actions, your habits, until clarity begins to scatter and stagnation begins to build. The most powerful shifts in Feng Shui never come from adding, they come from removing. From noticing, from reassessing what you thought didn't matter. That's why today we're going to explore one of the most overlooked yet potent areas of energetic design. The 7 everyday items that most people carelessly leave on the floor, and why doing so quietly disrupts your ability to think clearly, earn consistently, rest deeply, and move forward with peace. These aren't mystical rules, they're spatial truths rooted in how Qi behaves when we stop guiding it. This is about sovereignty over space. It's about structure, not spiritual trends. In Feng Shui, the floor is considered the final receiver of all unprocessed energy. Gravity is not just a physical law, it is an energetic one. When you leave high-value symbolic items on the ground, you are communicating surrender, not the peaceful kind, the kind that slowly unravels your sense of command over your life. And because the floor is where energy gathers before it moves, what settles there has the power to either weigh you down or hold you up. Think of this video as a mirror, not for your face, but for your home's posture. A chance to look down with new eyes and ask, what story am I placing beneath my own feet? What am I ignoring, tolerating, or misplacing? And how much of my own fatigue is actually coming from these invisible choices? Let's go beyond surface cleaning. Let's go beneath the clutter. Let's examine the energetic consequence of things that seem innocent, but that, over time, subtly sabotage your alignment. Because that pile of papers in the corner, it's not just paperwork. It's blocked communication and financial friction. That laptop left on the floor next to your bed, that's not rest. It's restless energy trying to sleep. Those mirrors you stacked in the hallway, waiting to be hung one day, they're not reflecting possibility. They're distorting intention, and they're doing it every single time you walk past without knowing. This isn't about blame, it's about awareness. And when you become aware of how your floor is being used, you start to realize how much of your mental exhaustion, emotional heaviness, or even income inconsistency isn't coming from outside your home, but from how you're unconsciously treating the lowest layer of it. So stay with me as we go through each of the 7 items, why they matter, how they distort your energy field, and what to do instead. And remember, this isn't a call for perfection, this is a call for pattern. Because in Feng Shui, change doesn't begin with the walls or the ceiling, it begins with what you walk on. And today you'll finally see how your floor, yes, your floor, may be the very reason your fortune feels blocked, your focus feels scattered, or your home just doesn't feel like it supports your growth anymore. And before we take that first step, I want to thank you for being here with me on New Day Mindfulness. If you're someone who values practical, grounded wisdom that blends energy with function, this space was made for you. Your presence here tells me you're ready to take your environment seriously, not just for its look, but for its effect. If this opening already helped you think differently, I invite you to help us grow this movement. With just one click to like, one share to a friend, or one subscribe to this channel, you'll be helping me reach the next milestone, 2,000 followers. That milestone means more content, deeper Feng Shui breakdowns, and the ability to bring you rituals and remedies that truly work in real life. Item 1, unwashed laundry, emotional weight storage. In any home, there are items so familiar we no longer see them as symbolic. A pile of laundry might seem mundane, part of the background noise of domestic life. But in the lens of classical Feng Shui, nothing in your space is neutral. Every object, especially those tied to your physical body, acts as a carrier of energetic imprint. Clothing, more than any other daily item, absorbs the immediate frequencies of your experiences. Joy, tension, sweat, stress, even anxiety that lives beneath the surface of your day. When you wear something, it rests against your skin, your organs, your breath. It is, in effect, a second skin. So when you take it off and casually toss it on the floor, you're not just discarding fabric. You're releasing all of the day's emotional residue into the lowest field of your living space. And if that space isn't cleared, if that clothing sits there for hours, days, or more, it becomes an anchor of emotional weight. It pulls the energy of the room downward, and over time, it begins to shape the emotional tone of the entire environment. This concept isn't spiritual, it's structural. In Feng Shui, the floor of your home is where energy collects, where movement slows, and where yin qi tends to pool. Yin is not inherently negative. It represents stillness, rest, reflection. But too much unprocessed yin, especially when paired with stagnant objects, creates an energetic swamp. That swamp doesn't just stay in the corner where the laundry lives. It radiates out. It subtly thickens the air. It distorts clarity. It amplifies moodiness. And because laundry often resides in private zones like bedrooms or hallways, it targets the energy most essential to emotional resilience and inner decision-making. Unwashed laundry, when consistently left on the floor, especially in areas like under the bed or near entrances, becomes an energetic drag. Feng Shui recognizes the water element, the domain of emotion, intuition, and clarity of thought. When the water element is suppressed, whether symbolically or structurally, individuals in the home begin to feel emotionally heavy, mentally foggy, or perpetually overwhelmed. It becomes harder to reflect, harder to release, harder to feel emotionally fluid. You may find yourself snapping more quickly, procrastinating tasks you normally enjoy, or waking up tired despite a full night's sleep. All of these can be traced back to energetic congestion, and unwashed clothing is often the most underestimated source of that congestion. Consider this: clothing absorbs far more than just body odor or physical dirt. It records experiences. The shirt you wore during a stressful meeting, the pants from a long day of caregiving, the gym clothes soaked in both exertion and self-pressure. These moments don't disappear just because the day ends. If the clothing isn't respectfully stored, these memories linger, now disembodied from your awareness, but alive in your environment. And that environment speaks back to you. It says, there is still something unresolved here, something not yet cleared. And the longer it stays, the louder that message becomes, not through words, but through emotional fatigue. The most dangerous placement for unwashed laundry is under the bed. In Feng Shui, the space beneath your bed is not storage. It's energetic breathing room. It is where your body rests, repairs, and recalibrates while you sleep. It is your night temple. The qi under your bed should be open, circulating, and light. When you place a pile of emotionally dense, unwashed clothes underneath it, you choke that breathing space. You invite emotional residue into your dreams, your subconscious, your sleep quality. You may find your sleep disturbed, your dreams heavy or fragmented, or wake up feeling as though you never truly rested. And over time, chronic stress patterns may develop, simply because the place designed to restore you is instead recycling what you've tried to release. Even laundry left in corners takes its toll. In Feng Shui, corners are energetic amplifiers. They collect and project energy. A dark corner with a pile of clothing becomes a funnel of heaviness. You may avoid that part of the room instinctively. You may feel a resistance to entering that space, or a vague sense of guilt or frustration whenever your eyes land there. That's not laziness. That's a biological and energetic response to density. Your nervous system responds to clutter the same way it responds to noise, by going into low-level stress activation. When that clutter includes emotionally charged materials, the effect is compounded. The remedy is not harsh discipline or unrealistic perfection, it's realignment. One of the simplest yet most effective Feng Shui adjustments is the use of woven, natural material baskets with lids. These containers offer multiple energetic benefits. First, they elevate the laundry, literally lifting the energy off the floor. Second, they contain it, symbolically honoring the fact that even what's dirty or in process deserves structure. And third, they introduce the earth element through materials like wicker, seagrass, or bamboo. Earth balances water. It gives containment to emotion. It says, we can hold this without drowning in it. When your laundry is placed in a closed basket made of natural materials, it no longer disturbs the chi of your room. It becomes an accepted part of the cycle of renewal. To further enhance this effect, consider placing a bay leaf or cedar chip in your laundry basket. Bay leaf is energetically clearing. It resets emotional tone. Cedar is protective and grounding. Together, they transform the basket from a bin into a tool. They neutralize some of the energetic imprint of the clothing inside so that the rest of the room isn't burdened by it. This is not superstition, it's symbolic chemistry. You're telling the space, this emotional residue is acknowledged, but it is contained. It will be dealt with. It does not have permission to bleed into the rest of my life. This mindset shift, viewing laundry not as mess, but as energy in transition, radically alters how your space feels. You no longer see clothes on the floor as benign clutter. You see them as messages. And when those messages are honored, folded, stored, and ultimately washed with intention, your home begins to respond in kind. You may notice a sudden lightness in your mood, a renewed willingness to engage with tasks you've been avoiding, a sense of emotional fluidity you haven't felt in weeks. These aren't coincidences. They are feedback. They are proof that your space, like your body, only needs clarity to begin healing. The next time you consider tossing a shirt into a corner or leaving pants crumpled on the bathroom floor, pause. Ask, what weight am I about to place on this space? Is it mine to keep, or is it ready to be cleared? This single moment of attention turns routine into ritual. It transforms your home from a place of unconscious repetition into a container of conscious evolution. You are no longer just tidying. You are restructuring energy. You are lifting emotion. You are reclaiming clarity. And in the deeper tradition of Feng Shui, that is what real abundance looks like. Not wealth without mess, but movement without blockage. So let your laundry speak. Let it teach you what you're carrying, what you're ready to wash away, and what deserves to be placed, not discarded. And most of all, let it remind you that every corner of your home, no matter how small, is a conversation between you and the life you're building. Respect that conversation. Elevate it. And you'll discover that clarity was never far away. It was simply buried beneath what you forgot to pick up. Item 2, food staples or groceries. Wealth symbolism pulled down. In the framework of classical Feng Shui, food has always been far more than sustenance. It is seen not only as nourishment for the body, but also as the most tangible representation of stored wealth. In agrarian societies where this ancient system of environmental wisdom developed, the ability to store rice, grains, and dry goods was not merely about preparing for the future. It was about demonstrating abundance, stability, and continuity. And while today's households may no longer revolve around harvest cycles, the symbolic energy carried by food, especially dry staples, remains remarkably potent. In fact, in modern energy design where money has become abstracted into numbers and digital flows, food often becomes the last remaining physical placeholder for wealth within the home. That's why how you treat your food storage is not just a reflection of your dietary habits. It's a reflection of your relationship to money, readiness, and self-respect. When food staples like rice bags, boxes of pasta, or crates of vegetables are casually placed on the floor, it sends a quiet but potent signal to your home's chai field. Wealth is not being respected here. This may sound dramatic at first, but consider what the floor represents. In Feng Shui, the floor is the most yin part of your space. It is where heaviness settles. It is the zone of gravity, containment, and energetic absorption. When you place items of high symbolic value like food on the floor, that value is pulled downward. Energy that should rise, circulate, and nourish becomes compressed, stalled, or worse, stagnant. And stagnant qi around your food zone doesn't just affect physical digestion. It affects how you metabolize opportunity. It shows up in your budget slipping off track, in meals becoming less joyful, in that subtle discomfort you feel in the kitchen but can't quite name. Let's break this down even further. Take rice, for example. In many Asian cultures, rice is not only a staple but a revered symbol of prosperity, continuity, and divine provision. The word rice is often interchangeable with meal or life. In some Buddhist-influenced rituals, offering a single grain of rice carries the same weight as offering a gold coin. Why? Because rice represents what you are able to hold, and what you are able to hold becomes the container for everything else that follows: time, clarity, peace. When a sack of rice is stored on the floor of your pantry, kitchen corner, or utility area, its energy sinks. The symbolic message becomes clear. Wealth has been lowered. It is no longer in circulation. It is being neglected or weighed down. And over time, this message embeds itself not just in the object, but in the subconscious of the person living there. The body feels this before the mind understands it. You might start to notice small signs of friction, feeling rushed during meals, losing your appetite even when food is available, or experiencing unexplained tightness in the chest near your cooking area. Financially, you may begin to sense delays, payments that don't come in, opportunities that vanish halfway through, a general lack of momentum. None of this is random. It's environmental response. Energy mirrors structure. And when your kitchen holds the posture of burdened abundance, i.e., heavy bags on the floor, boxes crammed into corners, staples absorbing foot-level noise and dust, the result is unexpressed wealth potential. It's not that money won't come in, it's that it won't know where to settle. Now consider the visual impact. In Feng Shui, form influences feeling. A home where food is stacked haphazardly, stored at floor level, or wedged in dark corners gives off a subtle impression of scarcity, even when the shelves are full. This isn't about judgment, it's about resonance. Your nervous system reads that visual disorder and signals the brain. There is no spaciousness here. There is no flow. And so the subconscious begins to adapt. You might find yourself eating standing up, shopping erratically, or ignoring expiration dates. All of these are extensions of the original energetic instruction. Abundance has no structure here. To reverse this, the solution is both simple and profound. Elevate your food. Literally. The general rule in Feng Shui is that stored food should be placed at least 1 palm's height above the ground. This elevates the qi, aligns it with circulation, and restores dignity to the symbols of nourishment and wealth. Whether it's a pantry cabinet, a bamboo riser, or a simple wooden pallet, the act of lifting your food staples off the floor is an act of reclaiming energetic respect. It tells the home what we eat matters, how we store it matters. We are not hoarding, we are stewarding, but elevation alone is not enough. Rotation is equally critical. Dry goods that sit too long become energetically stale. Just as stagnant water becomes a breeding ground for disease, stagnant food becomes a magnet for energetic decay. In Feng Shui terms, stale food equals stale fortune. That doesn't mean you need to waste anything. It means you need to stay in active relationship with your inventory. Every month, take a moment to revisit your dry goods. What hasn't been used? What's hiding in the back? What expired 6 months ago but you've been ignoring? Let these questions guide your reset. Use what's fresh. Donate what's good but unnecessary. Release what's dead. This act of rotation is a financial ritual. It keeps the energy of provision alive, flowing, adaptable. And as you rotate your goods, you might begin to notice something else. You feel more grounded, less reactive, more willing to plan meals or share food with others. These are signs that the wealth chi has returned to movement. If you want to amplify this effect, add symbolic anchors to your food storage zones. Place a red envelope with a written affirmation just inside your pantry. May this space always be full of health, choice, and grace. Add a citrine crystal, known in Feng Shui for abundance activation, near your dry staples. Or place a piece of carved wood, representing growth and rootedness, on the top shelf. These don't need to be mystical. They simply need to remind you of your intent. Remember, Feng Shui isn't about magic, it's about memory. What you surround yourself with is what your subconscious begins to rehearse. So let your pantry rehearse gratitude. Let your grains rehearse sufficiency. Let your rice be stored as if it were sacred, because energetically it is. And finally, don't underestimate the emotional impact of a well-structured food zone. A clean, elevated, rotated dry goods area doesn't just signal wealth, it creates peace. You feel it when you cook, you sense it when you grocery shop, you carry it into your finances. There is dignity in structure, there is sovereignty in care, and the floor, while essential and grounding, is not the place where your symbols of nourishment should dwell. They are meant to rise, to be honored, to support you, not to be stepped over. When you lift your food, you lift your field. When you restore order to the place where wealth resides, you begin to build a pattern of respect that spills into every corner of your home. So don't underestimate that sack of rice in the corner or the stack of pasta boxes resting on the floor. They are not just groceries. They are energy vessels. They hold the vibration of stability, preparedness, and care. Treat them like treasure and you'll begin to feel like someone capable of holding treasure. Elevate them and you may find, quietly, unexpectedly, that your sense of abundance begins to elevate with them. Not because your bank account changed overnight, but because your home remembered how to hold wealth. And finally, so did you. Item 3, tools of thought, books, journals, laptops. There's a silent dignity to every book, every journal, every device you use to think, to create, to communicate. These items are not simply functional. They are tools of thought, extensions of your mental field, holders of memory, process, and insight. And yet, in so many homes, they end up exactly where they don't belong, on the floor, forgotten beside a chair, tucked beneath the bed, leaning against a wall waiting to be shelved one day. And with each passing hour, they remain there. Their energy, once upright and activated, becomes heavy, compressed, and stagnant. Not because the objects themselves are broken, but because their placement no longer supports the intention they were created for. In Feng Shui, the floor is a field of collection. It holds the final form of what has been used, expelled, or discarded. While it may ground physical structure, it also absorbs energetic memory. So when you place books, laptops, or creative journals on the floor, especially repeatedly, it symbolically lowers your ideas, your clarity, and your capacity for progress. You are not just storing items, you are unconsciously stepping over your own potential. And over time, the results manifest in ways most people never connect to their space. Mental fog, inconsistent follow-through, creative blockages, low motivation, and even a gradual detachment from once meaningful projects. These aren't character flaws, they're spatial reflections. Their energy responding to form. Let's take the laptop, for instance. In today's world, your laptop likely holds your work, your voice, your access to opportunity. It is a modern scroll, a platform for thought and communication. When that object is casually placed on the floor, especially in sleeping areas, under beds, or by entryways. It absorbs not only dust and environmental noise, but energetic interruption. Sleep in Feng Shui is deeply yin. It is restoration. The energy fields around your bed should be soft and reflective, nourishing. When you store high yang objects like laptops nearby or underfoot, they clash with the ambient qi, and that clash doesn't stay local. It enters your dreams, your recovery, your cognitive rhythm. You may wake up feeling physically fine but mentally scattered. You may open the laptop and feel creatively numb. You may even start to dread working, not because you hate your job, but because the tool no longer feels sacred. Its placement has drained its power. Now consider journals. These are not just notebooks. They are energetic containers for inner dialogue, self-reflection, and processing. In many traditional systems, including Buddhist and Taoist energy teachings, writing is an act of imprinting thought into matter. It transforms what is transient into what is form. Your journal is, in that sense, an altar of thought. When you place it on the floor, the message becomes clear. This insight is not valuable. This memory can be dismissed. This lesson is now underfoot. And even if you don't consciously believe that, your subconscious receives the cue. You begin to take your own processing less seriously. You revisit your notes less often. You delay insight. You forget breakthroughs. That isn't forgetfulness, it's feedback. Your environment is reflecting the posture you have assigned to your inner world. Books, too, operate under the same principle. They are not static. They are living dialogues between your curiosity and collective knowledge. In Feng Shui, the wood element governs learning, growth, expansion. Books are pure wood qi, but when they are left on the floor, especially in corners or tight passageways, that wood energy can no longer rise. It sits in silent decay. And just as wood left in water begins to rot, knowledge left without elevation begins to erode. You might notice yourself rereading the same pages without retention, struggling to finish what once excited you, or feeling overwhelmed at the mere sight of a once beloved reading stack. This isn't a matter of discipline, it's structural confusion. You've removed the crown from your intellect and placed it beneath your feet. What's needed is not guilt, but restoration. In the energetic logic of Feng Shui, everything that carries symbolic charge, your tools, your memories, your expression, needs a home, a proper container, an elevated resting place. And that place should not only be functional, it should be intentional. For laptops, assign a cloth-covered basket, a fabric sleeve placed on a small table, or a wooden shelf cleared solely for digital tools. Let that space be where the tool powers down and where your relationship with it remains respectful. For journals, create a drawer or fabric pouch. Add a small crystal or handwritten affirmation that reminds you this is a place where truth is held. For books, invest in a shelf, not necessarily massive but upright, aligned, free of clutter. Let that shelf carry not just weight but story. When you elevate these objects, their qi activates again. They become, once more, tools of clarity. And if you want to enhance that effect even further, introduce symbolic companions. Place a small plant near your journals to reinforce growth. Add a clear quartz near your laptop station to reflect focus. Write an affirmation like, "My thoughts are worth holding," or "My mind is a vessel for light," and tuck it behind your favorite book. These aren't rituals of superstition. They're rituals of respect. And respect is what turns routine into renewal. It's also essential to be mindful of transitional zones, entryways, corners, bedside floors, where books and devices often accumulate just for now. In Feng Shui, these are power spots. Entryways are the mouth of qi, the first impression your home makes on the world. When you stack tools of thought at the threshold, you block incoming opportunities. you silence the welcome. Similarly, corners are amplifiers. Anything placed in a corner will grow in energetic weight. If that item is a closed laptop or a stack of ignored notes, it becomes a magnet for undone energy. And undone energy doesn't stay still. It becomes a weight on your attention, your sleep, your focus. Over time, this pattern of deferral becomes a pattern of depletion. One way to interrupt this cycle is through clearing rituals. Once a week, take 10 minutes to walk through your space with one question in mind. Where am I placing my mind? Wherever you find a device, book, or journal out of alignment, pause, lift it, wipe it clean, return it to its rightful home, or create one. This is not just tidying, this is energetic recalibration. It tells your space, your body, and your life, I am present to my own process. The results, while subtle at first, are cumulative. You may find yourself finishing tasks more easily, returning to ideas you once abandoned, or speaking with more clarity. You might feel a renewed intimacy with your own voice, as if your tools have returned to supporting you instead of haunting you. This is the power of aligned placement. It doesn't require more effort, just better intention. You don't need a bigger desk, a more expensive journal, or smarter devices. You need to treat the ones you already have as if they matter. Because in Feng Shui, what you honor expands. There's a reason ancient libraries were built as temples. A reason scholars throughout history elevated their tools with care. They understood what modern life often forgets, that thought is sacred. That every act of writing, reading, planning, coding, dreaming is a bridge between the internal and the external. And that bridge deserves architecture. So as you walk through your home today, take a second look at your floor. What ideas are you stepping over? What insights are gathering dust? What dreams are waiting to be lifted? Your tools of thought are not accidental clutter. They are reflections of your clarity, your self-respect, and your willingness to rise. Lift them, and you just might find that your mind begins to lift with them. Not out of magic, but out of recognition. Because when you treat your mind like it matters, it begins to behave as if it does. And that is where every breakthrough begins. Right at the place where thought meets structure. Right at the point where you decide, my mind deserves more than the floor. It deserves a home. Item 4, mirrors, screens, or face-down glass. In every culture across centuries and civilizations, mirrors have carried an energy that goes beyond their physical function. They do not simply reflect, they interpret. They capture not just image, but energy, movement, and intent. In Feng Shui, mirrors are often described as energy multipliers, but this is an oversimplification. They are far more than amplifiers. Mirrors are energetic messengers. What they reflect, they invite. What they face, they reinforce. And what they distort, especially when placed without intention, can ripple into your life in ways that are hard to trace but impossible to ignore. That's why the most careless treatment of mirrors, placing them directly on the floor, particularly face down, is one of the most energetically disruptive acts in home alignment. It doesn't seem dramatic. It doesn't always look like a problem. But over time, it becomes a silent generator of instability, both emotional and mental. Let's begin by understanding placement. In Feng Shui, the floor is not a storage field. It is the lowest energetic tier of your home, where grounding qi gathers and stillness settles. When a mirror is placed flat on the floor, especially face down, it interacts with this foundational qi in ways that can fracture clarity. Think of the mirror as a symbolic window. When that window is clean and upright, it provides clarity, reflection, awareness. When it's flipped, dusty, or angled toward the void of under-furniture space, it becomes a window into distortion. The energy bounces unpredictably. The messages it sends into the space are no longer affirming. They are scrambled. And this doesn't just affect the mirror itself, it affects the energy field of the entire room. The mirror, once a tool of insight, becomes a conduit for confusion. This is especially potent in the bedroom, which is where mirrors are often found face down or propped against the wall awaiting installation someday. The bedroom is your rest zone, your most yin-centered environment. Its purpose in Feng Shui is to contain, restore, and protect your vital energy. Mirrors in bedrooms already require careful placement. When improperly positioned, they can reflect light, movement, and even doorways in ways that overstimulate the nervous system during sleep. But when mirrors are placed on the floor in bedrooms, especially when they're broken, unused, or turned face down, the impact becomes amplified. Instead of supporting renewal, they begin to reflect stagnation. They multiply whatever they're facing, and when that's the underside of a bed or a dark corner of the wall, what they echo is suppression. This is when anxiety often begins to manifest. You might not connect it at first. You chalk it up to a bad night's sleep, too much coffee, stress from work. But look around, that half-wrapped mirror against your closet, that screen from an old monitor lying face down by your nightstand, that broken glass panel leaning behind the dresser because you haven't had time to throw it out. These are all amplifiers of unsettled chai. And what they're amplifying is not light or truth. They're echoing uncertainty. Energetically, this becomes mirrored in your emotional field. You may feel unsettled for no obvious reason. Your dreams may grow fragmented or intense. Your sense of grounding, especially in the morning, may feel brittle. This is not just poor rest. It is reflective disturbance. In workspaces, the effect is different but equally impactful. Mirrors or screens on the floor, especially under desks or in meeting corners, disrupt the line of mental concentration. Feng Shui teaches us that clarity follows flow. Mirrors placed in low, dark, or inactive areas begin to refract that clarity, scattering focus across multiple channels. In practical terms, this can show up as brain fog, reduced productivity, repeated errors, or even conflict between coworkers and home offices. Energy that should be moving forward starts ricocheting off distorted fields. What you reflect is what you receive. And if the mirror on the floor is broken, tilted, or forgotten, the reflection you receive is not one of potential. It's one of energetic residue. Now let's talk about screens. In modern homes, mirrors are no longer just glass. They are laptops, tablets, black televisions, and powered-down monitors. These are all reflective surfaces. They too hold light. They too echo activity. And when these screens are stored face down or underfoot, such as beneath beds, at the foot of sofas, or leaning near the entryway, their chi becomes dormant, suppressed, and often disruptive. In Feng Shui, the metal element governs clarity, communication, and articulation. Screens are modern metal, but placed improperly, metal begins to cut, not support. Emotionally, this may show up as misunderstandings, sharp words, tech issues, or decision paralysis. You find yourself avoiding your desk. You forget what you were working on. You spend more time recovering from distraction than moving forward with purpose. The screen didn't break, but the energy field around it fractured. One of the most powerful illustrations of this principle came from a home styling feature on Michelle Obama. According to her interior designer, Michelle was deeply intentional about how mirrors were stored and displayed, even during moves or renovations. She reportedly insisted that no mirror, regardless of size or function, be placed on the floor, even temporarily. Her reason wasn't superstition, it was principle. Mirrors, she said, should reflect stability, not disarray. In her Chicago home and later residences, mirrors were always wrapped, upright, or covered with cloth if not immediately mounted. This small but precise habit became part of her larger energy rhythm, a way of ensuring that the reflective elements in her home reinforced order, not overwhelm. And in our own spaces, we can apply the same principle. We don't need to emulate her decor. We need to emulate her clarity. So how do you apply this practically? First, audit your home. Walk through every room and look low. What's reflective? What's dark, glassy, and facing the floor? What's been left unattended for weeks, possibly months? Identify every mirror, screen, or panel that's out of alignment. Then act. If a mirror is upright but not hung, store it vertically behind a curtain or fabric panel. If it's face down, flip it or wrap it in red or gold cloth and store it somewhere where its reflective surface is not visible. If it's broken, discard it completely. Mirrors that can no longer reflect whole images create fragmented thought and opportunity. Their chi cannot be mended. It must be released. For screens, ensure devices are powered down properly, stored in drawers or upright in holders, and never placed beneath beds, couches, or at floor level. Even a cloth-covered basket for electronics can reset their energetic pattern. To further balance the energy of mirrors and screens in your home, introduce elements that restore harmony. Small bowls of salt placed near reflective surfaces can absorb stagnant chi. Hanging a light wind chime or bell near mirrors resets frequency. Placing a piece of amethyst or obsidian nearby can ground the reflective energy and prevent psychic clutter. If you must store a mirror temporarily, placing a written affirmation behind it, such as "May I reflect only what I wish to amplify," gives the mirror a script, not just a surface. It becomes a participant in your space, not a wild card. The most important adjustment, though, is your relationship to reflection itself. Mirrors, at their best, are reminders. They show you not just what is, but what you're becoming. When they are treated with care, placed with precision, and cleaned with intention, they support your becoming. When they are treated casually, dumped on the floor, or turned toward chaos, they lose their purpose, and they reflect that loss back at you. You are not here to be scattered. You are here to be seen. Seen with clarity, seen with sovereignty, seen with softness. That begins with what you let reflect your home's truth. So take the mirrors off the floor, elevate the screens, wrap the glass, redirect the reflection, and watch how the clarity returns, not in theory, but in function. You may find your thoughts becoming less tangled, your sleep more restful, your projects flowing again. These are not coincidences. They are spatial truths coming back into coherence. Mirrors are not dangerous. They are directional, and the direction they face determines the direction your energy flows. Let them reflect stability, not disarray. Let them echo light, not leftover clutter. And let them become what they were always meant to be, tools of insight, not triggers of confusion. This is how you reclaim clarity, not by changing your space overnight, but by elevating the most overlooked objects into participants in your growth. Begin with the mirror and watch what else begins to reflect back the best version of you. That is the essence of Feng Shui, not placement for beauty, but placement for function. Not reflection for ego, but reflection for alignment. And when those things align, your life begins to reflect something entirely new: sovereignty, stability, and a structure you can finally trust. Item 5, clocks, watches, calendars, old phones. In the landscape of Feng Shui, there are objects that directly carry and transmit energy: mirrors, plants, water features. And then there are objects that appear inert, but in fact pulse with a frequency tied to rhythm itself. Among the most underestimated of these are the tools of time: clocks, watches, calendars, and even out-of-service phones. These are not just practical devices. They are energetic instruments that hold your schedule, your structure, your momentum, in your memory. And where you place them inside your home determines not just how you relate to time, but how time flows toward you or away from you. When these instruments are stored or left on the floor, especially in forgotten corners or under piles of clutter, the energy they emit becomes muffled, fragmented, and unanchored. In practical terms, this shows up as missed deadlines, poor time management, rushing without productivity, and that invisible but persistent feeling that you're always behind, no matter how hard you try to catch up. Let's begin with clocks. In classical Feng Shui, clocks represent not just time, but the flow of cycles: birth, growth, decay, renewal. A functioning wall clock that is mounted at eye level sends a clear signal to the environment. This household honors structure. This home understands pacing. There is awareness here. But when that same clock is placed on the floor, not only does it become physically insignificant, it loses its vibrational authority. It goes from directing rhythm to absorbing noise. The placement of timekeeping objects directly mirrors the placement of your relationship to time. If your clocks are beneath you, disconnected, or left without batteries, your inner schedule begins to follow suit. You might begin to oversleep, underplan, or fill your hours with distractions that feel like urgency but produce very little progress. This is not a moral failing, it's an energetic disruption. Time in Feng Shui is not neutral, it's a flow to be honored, not just managed. Watches, similarly, carry a uniquely personal energy. They sit on your wrist, in direct contact with your pulse, moving with your steps and absorbing the pace of your day. When you remove your watch and place it on a floor, under a bed, or on a nightstand already cluttered with neglected items, you disconnect it from your energetic center. The wrist, governed by the fire meridian in Chinese medicine, represents action, expression, and assertion. The moment you place your watch on the floor, especially at night, that energetic circuit begins to dull. Over time, your mornings begin with a sense of heaviness or disorientation. Even if you slept well, you lose track not only of time, but of momentum. The effect may be subtle, but it compounds daily. Days blur together, intentions dissolve into busyness, and eventually you begin to move through your schedule, not as its master, but as its servant. And all because the very item that once helped you orient your life has been unconsciously demoted to the energetic basement of your home. Calendars are another layer entirely. Whether digital or analog, they hold the vision of your days. They are memory in future form. They represent structure, accountability, and planning. But when old calendars are rolled up and tossed in a corner, placed on the floor beside boxes, or buried under piles of unprocessed mail, they transform from tools into energetic deadweight. Old dates still carry imprint. Past appointments, anniversaries, goals not yet met, they all live in the grit of that paper or in the ghost files of that old planner. When left unacknowledged and uncontained, they generate a kind of spiritual backlog. You feel it as decision fatigue, the inability to prioritize, or the strange sensation that time is slipping without substance. This is why in Feng Shui, old calendars should either be respectfully archived, placed in drawers, wrapped in fabric, or cleared entirely. And current calendars should be displayed or accessed at heart or eye level. This placement keeps your vision literally in front of you, guiding chi forward rather than burying it in the past. Now we come to perhaps the most energetically loaded object in this category, the old phone. Few items today carry more condensed memory and emotional charge than a smartphone. It contains texts, photos, missed calls, news, social media, and digital echoes of your daily emotional life. An old phone, even when powered off, still carries the energetic residue of its last active state. And when that phone is placed on the floor in a box under the bed near the router, it continues to emit a low-frequency emotional clutter. This clutter may not be audible, but it is deeply felt. It can fragment sleep. It can tether you to unresolved relationships. It can keep your mental energy looped in unfinished stories. And when these old phones pile up in drawers or on the floor of closets, the space begins to hold memory instead of possibility. You begin to recycle the past, emotionally and energetically, instead of moving into the future. In Feng Shui, objects that carry memory must either be cleared or honored. There is no neutral ground for items that once held your full attention. The placement of all these time tools, clocks, watches, calendars, phones, is not just about keeping them organized. It's about positioning your life rhythm in a way that supports flow rather than undermines it. The practical fix is deceptively simple but energetically profound. Elevate them. The chest, heart, and eye level are the zones where energy is most actively processed by your body and awareness. When your clocks hang above the line of sight, they feel authoritarian, cold. When they rest at floor level, they feel forgotten. But when placed at chest level, on a shelf, a clean desk, a designated holder, they become integrated companions in your day. Watches should be placed in cloth-lined trays, boxes made of wood or leather, never tossed or left open on cold surfaces. Calendars should be displayed vertically, never rolled or crumpled. Phones, even when not in use, should be wiped clean weekly and stored in a drawer or pouch. These actions may seem aesthetic, but they are deeply structural. They tell time, I am ready to meet you with presence. There's also a symbolic ritual that can restore your relationship to time. Choose one of these tools, perhaps a clock or an unused watch, and bless it. Not in a religious sense, but in a Feng Shui sense. Clean it thoroughly, elevate it, and place it facing a direction associated with movement or productivity, east or southeast for new beginnings and wealth flow. Then place a written affirmation nearby. I honor my rhythm, I trust my timing. Every time you see or touch that object, the message echoes through your field. Over time, this creates energetic alignment between your intention and your execution. For those storing old timekeeping tools for sentimental or archival reasons, there is also a Feng Shui solution. Containment. Wrap old watches in red silk and store them in a wooden box. Label them, close the box with a note of gratitude. This gives the memory a container, freeing the surrounding space from psychic residue. The same applies to old phones. Either recycle them entirely or wrap them in fabric and place them in sealed drawers, not left loose in your energy field. You will notice a change within days, a lightening, a subtle forward pull, a renewed capacity to complete what you start. This is not magic. It is spatial consequence. There's one last insight here, and it's perhaps the most important. When you place timekeeping tools on the floor, you are symbolically stepping over your own timing. You are telling your environment that you are not ready, not in command, not aligned with the movement of your life. And in return, your life begins to reflect that message. But the moment you lift these tools, honor their structure, and place them where they can guide instead of scatter, the energy begins to reorganize. You move more clearly. You act more deliberately. You breathe in rhythm with your goals instead of gasping through your schedule. This is the unseen gift of Feng Shui, not aesthetic perfection, but functional elegance. A home that helps you be in time, not behind it, not lost in it, but synchronized with it. So lift your clocks, elevate your calendars, store your watches with dignity. Let time become your ally again, and your days will no longer feel like they're slipping away. They will feel like they are meeting you, fully present, one aligned moment at a time. Item 6, financial documents, statements, bills. In a world that increasingly digitizes everything from bank accounts to grocery lists, physical financial documents might seem like outdated clutter. And yet, in Feng Shui, what we choose to keep in physical form holds an outsized influence on the symbolic field of our space. Your pay stubs, tax returns, investment records, insurance forms, utility bills. These aren't just pieces of paper. They are energetic records of exchange, declarations of value, and proof of participation in the material cycle of life. When these documents are treated with respect, they reinforce financial clarity, personal agency, and grounded decision-making. But when they're tossed carelessly on the floor, stuffed under couches, wedged beneath stacks of unopened mail, or leaned against furniture legs, just for now, they begin to tell a very different story. One of energetic negligence. Not because paper is fragile, but because symbolic structure is precise. And structure in Feng Shui is everything. Financial documents are among the most charged items in a household. They carry your relationship to earning, spending, saving, and managing. They mirror your beliefs about self-worth, survival, responsibility, and trust. When these documents are disorganized or disrespected, the energy of your finances begins to follow that posture. You might notice subtle but persistent patterns: late payments, missed opportunities, confusion over balances, a sense of dread when thinking about money, or the recurring fear that you're not really in control. These are not always the result of actual financial instability. Often they are the product of energetic misalignment, of treating wealth symbols with a casualness that eventually loops back into experience. When papers of this nature are placed on the floor, even temporarily, you send a subconscious message into the space. My wealth can wait. My records are secondary. My financial identity is not protected. And your environment, always listening, always shaping, responds accordingly. Instead of reinforcing security, it begins to reinforce friction. The floor is the lowest energetic plane in the home. It is where chi slows, where heaviness gathers, and where items left unattended begin to decay energetically. Placing bills or financial forms on this plane pulls the energy of your finances downward. It roots your money flow in stagnation instead of progression. This doesn't just affect the objects themselves, it affects you. Over time, you may begin to avoid money conversations. You may delay opening your mail. You may feel resentment or fear around budgeting or investing. These emotional patterns are not arbitrary. They are often the result of years of misalignment between what money symbolizes and how that symbol is handled in your space. The home doesn't distinguish between the dollar amount of your statements. It reacts to posture, intention, and placement. And when the documents representing your value are treated as floor-level burdens, that signal becomes embedded in the energy of your surroundings. But there is a way to reverse this, not through radical financial overhaul, but through respectful spatial realignment. First, understand this principle. In Feng Shui, what holds the item holds the energy. That means the container is just as important as the content. For financial documents, the ideal storage method is an upright filing system. Verticality matters. When items are stored vertically, energy continues to move upward and remain in circulation. A filing cabinet, a bookshelf drawer, or a document box with dividers are all excellent options, so long as they are elevated from the floor. Even placing a small wooden riser beneath a file box can shift the field of influence dramatically. It tells the energy, this information is not stagnant. It is valued. It is being handled. Color symbolism also plays a role. In classical Feng Shui, red is the color of vitality, power, and protection. Using red folders, red-lidded boxes, or even placing a single red envelope among your financial files reinforces the message. This space holds active chai. It is alive. It is guarded. For extra resonance, place a written affirmation inside the envelope. My finances support my life with clarity and flow. Do not display this affirmation. It is private, like your accounts. The power lies in the gesture, not the performance. Location matters too. Avoid storing financial documents in bathrooms, laundry rooms, or directly under heavy beams. These are drain zones and suppression zones in Feng Shui, meaning they pull or compress energy fields. Instead, aim for spaces tied to support and movement, an east-facing corner for clarity, a southeast zone for abundance, or a quiet section of your home office where focus already thrives. The direction you store your wealth symbols in is less important than the way you treat them. Precision is more valuable than perfection. Now let's address transitional habits, the little ways we sabotage our wealth chi without noticing. The unopened envelope tossed on a hallway bench, the stack of receipts sitting in a kitchen drawer, the online printouts curled beneath a printer's leg. These micro actions have macro impact. In Feng Shui, consistency of intention outweighs momentary design. That means even temporary clutter creates lasting instruction. If your wealth documentation is constantly between locations, it creates a field of financial instability. You might find yourself living in a state of near abundance. Money arrives, but leaves just as quickly. Opportunities arise but are missed because of delayed follow-through. Progress is made but never quite consolidated. This is not a character flaw. It is an environmental loop. To correct this, create a financial transition tray. This is a designated space, ideally on a shelf, console, or elevated surface, where bills, documents, and statements land before being filed. Use a wooden tray lined with fabric or a bamboo letter rack. Add a grounding object like a polished stone, a carved jade coin, or a bowl of cinnamon bark to hold the intention of stability. This tray acts as a buffer. It acknowledges that life is fast-paced, but it refuses to let wealth symbols become passive casualties of that speed. It says, even when I'm in motion, I am in structure. Even when I am busy, I am in awareness. Let's pause for a moment and reflect on a real-world example. One well-known public figure who exemplifies this energetic discipline is Warren Buffett. Known globally for his financial precision, Buffett's home and office space mirror that exact clarity. According to interviews with those who have worked closely with him, Buffett insists that paperwork be handled immediately or placed in labeled containers by end of day. There are no loose piles, no forgotten folders. Every document has a home. This isn't just efficiency, it's energetic sovereignty. Buffett once said, "Clarity is a form of wealth," and his space reflects that truth. The takeaway is not to mimic his wealth, but to mirror his intention. Respect the documents that reflect your value, and your value begins to stabilize. There's another layer here worth addressing: old financial documents. In Feng Shui, the past is not evil, but it must be placed correctly. Holding on to years' worth of bank statements, bills, or tax returns may be legally necessary, but energetically, they should be archived, not present. Create a separate box, seal it, label it, and store it in a closed closet or cabinet. Do not keep it under your bed, behind your desk chair, or on the floor of your office. Past financial energy must be contained if future wealth is to feel light. And once a year, perform a symbolic cleansing. Open the box, sort, shred what's outdated, re-bless what remains. This ritual keeps your financial field current. It prevents psychic debt. Lastly, let's not forget emotional tone. Your financial space should not feel cold, anxious, or sterile. It should feel secure. Add a small symbol of abundance to your filing zone: a bowl of coins, a gold figurine, a sprig of rosemary for clarity. Light a candle nearby once a month as you pay bills or review your budget. Play quiet instrumental music. These small rituals humanize finance. They teach your subconscious that money is not just math, it is relationship, it is flow, it is choice, and it is worthy of respect. Because in Feng Shui, Nothing is more magnetic to wealth than a space that knows how to hold it. When your documents are off the floor, properly contained, and energetically anchored, your financial life begins to mirror that coherence. You find yourself opening bills with less fear, making plans with more confidence, investing in your future not just with money, but with clarity. That is the real currency, energetic sovereignty. And it begins the moment you stop letting your wealth symbols collect dust on the ground and instead give them the dignity of structure, elevation, and care. That's how a home supports a future. That's how a filing drawer becomes a financial altar. And that's how you stop reacting to money and start shaping it. One placement at a time. Item 7, broken, unused, or emotionally heavy objects. In every home, there are things we use, things we love, and things we simply don't know what to do with. These are the items that sit quietly at the edges of our awareness. Objects with a broken wire, a missing piece, a sealed memory. They're not valuable enough to display, not useful enough to repair, not meaningless enough to throw away. So they end up in the most liminal spaces, on the floor, behind the door, under the bed, beside the couch leg, or tucked into the corner of a closet. They rest in these overlooked corners for months, sometimes years, and we think they're just dormant, paused, neutral. But in the language of Feng Shui, nothing in your space is neutral. Every object, especially those closest to the floor, holds a vibrational consequence. And when broken, unused, or emotionally heavy items are placed at the foundational level of your home, they begin to serve as energetic anchors, locking you into emotional loops, subconscious delays, and invisible stagnation. Let's begin with the obvious, broken things. That cracked table lamp you have been meaning to fix, the old speaker that only plays from one side, the suitcase with the broken wheel. From a Western lens, these are just incomplete tools. From a Feng Shui perspective, they are objects that hold interrupted energy. Every item in your home is either supporting your flow or echoing dysfunction. When something is broken, especially in a mechanical or structural way, it communicates a message to the surrounding space. Energy here is disjointed, and if that object is left on the floor, the message becomes foundational. You are quite literally building your physical and emotional life upon an undercurrent of unresolved disruption. It doesn't take long for that message to echo elsewhere, in projects that never fully take off, relationships that feel looped in the same argument, goals that stall out right before completion. The object is silent, but the energetic signature is persistent. Unused items carry a slightly different weight. These are the things that work, but not for you, the curling iron from a former version of your style, the stack of files from a business you've since closed, the perfectly good but unused yoga mat you moved 3 times without unrolling. When these objects live on the floor, their energy becomes sticky, not because they're broken, but because they carry dormant potential. And dormancy, left unmanaged, becomes energetic noise. It takes up space in your awareness, your decision-making, and your self-perception. You may start to feel overwhelmed in your own home, as if you're constantly behind on something, even when your schedule is clear. You may feel creatively congested, unable to start something new without finishing a dozen old things first. You might find yourself postponing small tasks indefinitely because even rest feels like procrastination. This is the psychological effect of energetic clutter. It blurs your sense of direction. It creates low-grade friction between your intent and your ability to act. And it all begins with the unconscious permission you gave to unused objects to live unexamined, uncontained, and low. Now we turn to the most emotionally potent category of all. Objects that carry unresolved sentiment. Gifts from relationships that ended painfully. Clothes from a weight you no longer maintain. Awards from a career that no longer reflects your identity, letters you never responded to, photos you flipped face down. Feng Shui teaches that every object contains not just memory, but momentum, emotional momentum. If that momentum is unresolved and the object is placed on the floor, it becomes an energetic anchor. It doesn't just remind you of the past, it holds you there. These items create invisible threads of emotional drag. You may find yourself reliving old stories in your mind, even when you don't want to. You may feel a quiet grief you can't name, a tension that shows up in the shoulders, a heaviness around the heart. And you may wonder why you can't move on, why certain patterns repeat, why a part of you feels tethered even when your life looks fine on the outside. Look again at your base level. What unresolved emotion are you standing on? In Feng Shui, the base level of your home, the floor, is not just where physical weight settles. It's where energetic programming occurs. What lives on the floor becomes the foundation for what rises. If you want focus, but the base of your space holds confusion, your mind will scatter. If you want financial growth, but your floor holds broken tools and unprocessed bills, your income may wobble. If you want healing, but you sleep above a box of memories that trigger sorrow, your body will resist rest. This is not mysticism, this is energetic logic. Qi, the life force of a space, follows structure, and structure begins from the ground up. So how do we realign this? How do we respectfully release or contain the things we're not ready to use but no longer want to be ruled by? The first step is presence. You must see the item again, not just physically, but emotionally. Pick it up, hold it. Ask yourself, not just, do I need this? But what story does this still carry? If the story is one of pain, shame, or longing, and the object has no functional value, the answer is simple. Let it go, but not like trash. Release it with gratitude. Speak it out loud. Thank you for what you gave me. I no longer need to carry this forward. Donate it, recycle it, offer it to someone who can transform its value. This act is not waste, it is reverence. You are choosing alignment over accumulation. If the object must be kept for legal, historical, or deeply personal reasons, contain it with intention. Wrap it in cloth, place it in a wooden box, and store it off the floor. Wood is the element of growth and integrity. A wooden container helps transmute stagnation into potential. Label the box, give it a name. Not just old photos, but Chapter 1, Family Origins. Not just broken watch, but reminder of resilience. This gives the object a place in your narrative, without allowing it to dominate your present. There is also symbolic placement. If an emotionally charged item must remain visible, elevate it. Place it on a shelf with a grounding object, a bowl of salt, a live plant, a stone. This triangulates the energy, giving it both witness and stability. Light a candle near it once a month and say, I honor what was, I choose what is. These rituals don't erase emotion, they integrate it. And integration is what clears space for new experience. One powerful example of this principle comes from the home of actress Viola Davis. In an interview about how she creates safe space, she revealed that after overcoming intense trauma in her early life, she became deeply mindful of what her home holds. She avoids keeping anything broken. She actively edits her space. Every object must be functional, beautiful, or full of meaning that uplifts. Her approach is not decorative. It is energetic hygiene. I keep nothing that makes me question my worth, she once said. That's Feng Shui in essence. That's the discipline of choosing which stories your space should reflect back to you. Not because the past is shameful, but because the present must be strong. If you're unsure whether an object is holding you back, Observe your body's response. Does it make you sigh? Does it tighten your jaw? Does it pull your shoulders forward? These are signs of energetic discord. If your body avoids the item, your energy has already answered. The mind's logic, it's still good, it was expensive, I might need it someday, is irrelevant if the chi says no. Trust your field. Trust the invisible part of you that already knows what to keep and what to release. Finally, remember that a floor free of heavy, unresolved energy feels different. It's not just cleaner, it's freer. You will walk with more clarity. You will sleep with more ease. You will work with less resistance. You will start to feel lighter, not because you remove pounds of weight, but because you removed anchors. Your home is not a storage unit. It is a living mirror. Every surface speaks, and the floor, quiet, foundational, ever-present, speaks the loudest. Let it speak of clarity. Let it speak of readiness. Let it rise in support of who you are becoming, not who you were. So look again at your floor. Ask it what it's been holding. Ask it whether it's time to let some of that go. And then act, not with haste, but with honor. Repair what still serves, release what does not. Contain what must remain. And remember, every object you elevate elevates you. Every heavy item you clear makes space for something lighter to arrive. That is how energy rises. That is how the future begins. Not in the sky, but right here. At your feet, but right final. Nothing you place in your space is ever truly neutral. Every object you carry, every item you set down, every pile you postpone holds a whisper of intention, or the absence of it. And over time, those whispers become the language your home speaks back to you. That old journal under the bed, it may echo silence. The forgotten bill at your feet, it may hold the weight of delay. The broken gift still resting in a corner, it may keep circling the past like a shadow you've outgrown. These things don't curse you. They don't punish you. They reflect you, faithfully, quietly, and without exaggeration. In Feng Shui, we don't treat the floor as a void. We treat it as foundation, because the base of your space is the base of your energy. What you allow to settle low defines how high your life can rise. This isn't about being perfect. It's about being precise, being present, being willing to see that elevation isn't just about rising. It's about lifting what holds you. It's about choosing to store clarity instead of clutter, to prioritize what reflects your future, not what anchors your past. When you begin to treat the floor not as a dumping ground, but as sacred terrain, something inside you changes. Not suddenly, but meaningfully. You walk differently, you think more cleanly, you sleep more deeply, because the energy beneath your feet is no longer pulling you down, it's holding you up. So if today's video helped you see your space through new eyes, I invite you to take just one step. Maybe you pick up the item you have been avoiding. Maybe you relocate that stack of bills, or finally recycle that old tech. Or maybe, just maybe, you shift something symbolic in your heart, recognizing that what's been placed low in your home has also been weighing low in your energy. And if something resonated with you today, I gently encourage you to share it in the comments. Tell me, what are you ready to elevate? Physically or emotionally, what are you prepared to lift? And if you haven't yet, please consider supporting this journey by liking, sharing, and subscribing to New Day Mindfulness. We're on a mission to reach 2,000 subscribers, not for vanity, but so I can continue offering grounded, beautifully structured Feng Shui insights that help you live not just in a house, but in a home that supports the best version of you. Thank you for walking this path with me. Let's keep growing, one room, one shift, one conscious choice at a time.